What is good, people? Welcome back to Off-Field Antics. In today's video, me and Rod are going to be giving you our 2022-23 Premier League predictions in the form of a tier list. We're going to be putting in each team and see what we've kind of got. And I don't know, maybe we'll get something at the end of the season. Maybe the other one will have to buy each other a pint or something like that. But I think we should just kick things off, Rod, because I'm pretty sure that we've got the same bottom two, because I've gone Bournemouth and Fulham.
And I, my friend, have gone also Bournemouth and Fulham, and I imagine for very similar reasons.
Yes, I think we should start off with Bournemouth, Rob, because you kick things off with Bournemouth, because I think they're a team who do have quality, but I just don't think they are Premier League quality right now.
Yeah, I don't think they've strengthened enough. Parker's come out a few days ago, I think about 3 or 4 days ago, saying the squad is weaker than when they got promoted. They haven't strengthened enough. They've got a couple good players, but Premier League's a completely different ball game. So I think that's why I've gone Bournemouth there.
Yeah, I completely agree. I am excited though to hopefully see David Brooks back. He I think it was leukemia he was diagnosed with at some point in last season. He's made a full recovery, so very happy for that. And you know, it'd be nice for him to get some game time because, you know, the World Cup's coming up, and before that he was part of the Welsh national team, so it'd be interesting to see. Fulham, on the other hand, Rod, I think they are the team who I think, out of my bottom three, they do have a chance of getting out. I don't think Bournemouth do.
Yeah, Fulham, they've strengthened in some good places, but I think Marcus Silva did say currently they only have 2 fit centre-backs, probably one because the other one's Tim Ream, and I don't really think you can rely on him in the Premier League. No offence, Tim Ream, if you're watching.
Yes.
But, I mean, I like the Palhinha signing, I like the Andreas Pereira signing. Yeah. Mitro is going to do what he usually does, I feel, but yeah, I think they're going to struggle, mate. That's why I've gone for them in the team.
Yeah, I think you made a good point in terms of the 2 centre-backs for me. I think they will strengthen there, especially in the market, but I think the biggest problem they're going to have is their reason they're so good in the Championship is because the quality of their players when they're playing attacking football. I just don't think they're good enough to be able to hold on to the ball long enough to do that in the Premier League. And I think that coincides with, you know, Mitrovic scoring less goals, and if he's not scoring enough goals, they're not getting out of the relegation zone. I am excited to see Harry Wilson with Fulham in the Prem. I think that's an interesting sort of player to see. And you know, the loss of Carvalho was kind of a disappointing one for them, but you know, Andreas Pereira, he's got something to prove, and it's going to be interesting once again. Who have you got in 18th, Rod?
So this is a difficult one. I was stuck for this one, but I feel like they are going to have second season syndrome. And I've got Brentford. I think first season I thought they were fantastic in spells. Made a couple of good signings. Yesterday they'd agreed a deal, 16 million deal for Damsgaard, which I imagine to replace Ericsson. And if they can't get him alongside Wissa, Bumo and Tony, I think they could cause some carnage. Defensively, I think they're good. I think they're solid. But I do feel like second season in the Prem, the quality has increased amongst all the teams. It's going to be a difficult one, so we've gone Brentford.
Okay, I've gone Southampton, Rod. I just don't think that, if you look at the squad overall, they aren't really investing enough, in my opinion, to justify them staying in the Premier League. I think this year they have actually bought some players in, and I think there's some decent signings with Mara, Aribo, I really like. But my problem is they haven't been spending over the past few years, and for me that's coincided with the squad getting weaker and weaker. I just don't think the investment is enough to justify them staying up, Rod. Who have you gone for in 17th?
So, 17th was a tricky one. I was stuck between 3 teams for this place. I have gone Forest. I think it's going to take a long time to gel these players, to bed them in. I mean, they signed 12 or so players, which they needed to have a huge squad overhaul. They've got the quality. I think they have. Brought in obviously some key signings, Lingard, namely. But I think it's going to take a good few months for them to bed these players in. It's a slow process, and in the Premier League, there is no waiting. So I think they're going to struggle a little bit at times. But yeah, I have gone Forest here, but it could easily be any of the next two clubs, which I'm going to talk about shortly.
Yeah, I've gone Everton just to avoid the drop right now. I think for me, we're talking about Dominic Calvert-Lewin. He's injured already, so relying on him is hard, especially when you haven't got any backups to really come in. You look at Rondon, another guy who's injured right now. I don't even think he's quality enough to kind of bring in and expect to do anything with. I think some of the signings they've made have been really interesting, especially the Dwight McNeil one. I think he's a player who has had, kind of glimmers here and there of being a real good player for Burnley in the past, but with the way they play, he doesn't really get the opportunities. But now Everton expect him to get a little bit more of the ball, a little bit more time to shine. But Tarkowski is probably the most important one for me. I do think he brings that leadership and a bit more of the steel at the back. And I think if you look at the centre-backs they have in total, they do have some quality ones. And if they can stay fit, I do expect them to, defensively be good enough to probably avoid the drop. Who have you gone for in 16th place, Rod?
So 16th, you really talked about them, Saints. I think they've improved. I like a few of their signings, but I do feel like the manager has lost the dressing room. They were abysmal last year, to be honest. I think they're going to struggle a bit this year, and I don't know. I just can't really see them doing too well. Like I said, they could finish 17th, put Forest, but I think I've got them at 16th because it's just those lower table positions are quite hard to predict because lots of teams fit the category.
Yeah, I think Aribo is going to be really key for them. I think for them, they are probably lacking goals. They do score from set pieces and they do rely on James Ward-Prowse heavily. But I think if Aribo can come in and kind of drive on that midfield, maybe get a few goals in there, he could be the key to keeping them up. For me, though, Rod, I have actually gone with a team you've already talked about, Forest. I think we kind of have similar views on them. I think the squad has taken a massive overhaul in terms of the signings they brought in and the players they've let go. And the players they brought in are really quality. It's just a matter of fact of how long it's going to take them to kind of blend because they haven't all been done in time to kind of have a full pre-season. But it's definitely an interesting one, and they're definitely a team to keep an eye on this season, Rod. Who have you gone for in 15th place?
15th, I have gone Everton. I think they made some good signings. I like Tarkowski, I like McNeil, I like Vinagre. I think they have strengthened, but they've lost, obviously, probably their best player in Richarlison. Dele Alli, we know what he's going to bring. A shit attitude. Calvert-Lewin's already injured. I think they're going to be a bit better. Obviously, Frank had obviously half a season last year. He's got the fans on his side. Goodison Park was a fortress. He's had a whole pre-season. I think they're going to do a bit better, so I've gone with 15th.
Yeah, I think keeping hold of Gordon as well has kind of been underrated because he was linked with moves away, but keeping him, he could be a very important player for them. I've gone with, I think it's Leeds United, Rod, a team who I feel have, kind of had mixed views for me so far. I thought there was a definite team to go down after the end of last season. But after Salim, Phillips and Rafinha, I think the squad has overall kind of improved. I think despite losing their two best players, the money's kind of been spread out now over the squad, which was very much an aging and a squad which really lacked quality. I think you look at the players they brought in, Sinistera from Feyenoord, Arison from the United States, he is, but I don't know what team he came from, but he's a quality player. And that midfield has been bolstered a lot with the signings of Mark Rocker and Tyler Adams. And I think Jesse March has kind of got a chance here to kind of build Leeds in the way he wants to. I think last season they were kind of reliant on playing only one style of football under Bielsa. But now with the ability to kind of change, dependent on opponent, I think Leeds have got a better chance of staying up. Who have you got in, I guess, 14th place, Rod?
14th, I've actually got Leeds.
Okay.
I think they've strengthened. I think they're going to play a more defensive football this year, which I think they need to. Obviously, Bamford is back. If they can keep him fit, it'd be vital, as he's shown in his first season. But obviously, they have lost Rafinha, they have lost Phillips. They did leave behind them big voids, and obviously they've signed Siniestra, Adams, Roca, like you all said. I think they're going to do better this year. I think obviously they've had 2 seasons now in the Prem. Obviously, they've managed. Obviously, the second season was a bit worse than the first, to be expected. After change of managers halfway through, but I think it'll be a bit more solid this year. I think to do Obviously, it's just about bedding in the players now, which is it's a difficult process. But yeah, I think Leeds at 14th.
Yeah, man, I do like Leeds. For me, in 14th place, I've gone with Brighton. Despite, coming up and kind of solidifying themselves as a Premier League team under Potter, I think they still have a lot to kind of prove. I think they've lost two kind of big players now. It looks like Mark Cucurella is going to end up going to Chelsea, which is a bit of a curveball from the City move. And losing Basuma to Spurs, I think that's two really big sort of players gone from the squad. I think the players they brought in are interesting. I think Undav is going to have a huge part to play. If he can hit the ground running, maybe they can finish higher up. But I do think the squad kind of lacks that killer instinct still, Rod. And I'm not too sure if it's going to be the season everyone's expecting. And I'm not sure if this season Potter is going to get the people are going to be calling him for the England manager. I feel he's going to have a bit of a tougher time this year. Who have you gone for in 13th, Rod?
In 13th, I've actually gone Brighton. Similar views to what you said. I think losing Basuma is going to have proven to be huge. And Wepu, I think he does fill part of the void. I think he's a good player, so I do think they keep him fit all season. Goal scoring is their main issue. They don't score goals. Obviously, they have brought in Undav. Very good season last year in the Belgian Pro League. But we've seen Wesley also had a couple good seasons in the Belgian Pro League, and look how that went.
Mate, he's an animal.
It's a hard league. Premier League is a hard league. So yeah, I've gone Brighton. I think Potter's organisational skills and man-to-man management will still be solid. Obviously, they are on the verge of losing Cucurella, not to City, but to Chelsea. But yeah, 13th, I think, for Brighton.
Yeah, I think it'll be nice to see if he does go, how they're going to invest the money, because I think Dan Burn was a huge loss last season as well. For me, I've actually gone Brentford, a team who you got pinned for the relegation. I do think overall, as a squad, they are very solid. I do think this season they are going to miss a lot. I think despite bringing in Damsgaard, he does kind of fill a different role to kind of what Eriksen does in the national team. And normally comes off the left-hand side where, I think it kind of works if they want to go with Tony and Buemo and Damsgaard as kind of like a front three. But for me, I think they lack that creativity in midfield, and despite having some really solid players in there, we don't have someone who can kind of take hold of a game. And I think that's why they're only going to finish 13th. But overall, I think they're strong enough to avoid the drop and kind of being anywhere near it. I think defensively, they're far too strong, and I think they're going to have another good season this year. And I'm excited for Brentford because I'm a big fan of their manager and the way he sets them up. So it's going to be an interesting one for sure. Who have you got in 12th, Rod?
I think in 12th, we're actually going to have similar teams, if not the same. Well, similar teams. It's quite hard to have similar teams. I think we're going to have the same team. I've actually got Leicester.
Okay.
I think they haven't really had much activity in the transfer window. I think they're on the brink of losing Maddison to Newcastle. I saw a 45 million bid did come in.
Yeah, and I think 60.
I think he wants to move.
Yeah.
Schmeichel is on his way out. Defensively, they were quite poor last year. Pereira's gone off injured a couple of days ago. See, a few players are back, but I think there's a weird feeling around the club, and I think that could affect performances. Vardy obviously is not getting any younger. I do like, I can't remember his name off the top of my head. Scored 4 against Spartak Moscow in the Europa League. What's his name?
Daka? Inacho?
I like Daka. I like Inacho, but it's a big ask. Tielemans looks like he was on his way out earlier on in the transfer window. It looks like he might be staying, but like I said, there's a weird feeling. So yeah, I've got Leicester at top.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. For me, I've actually gone with a different team here, Rod. I've gone with Wolves. For me, a team who have been, in and around the European slots in the past few seasons, but I just think they're still lacking quite a lot. They're reliant on the likes of Jimenez and Neto, who, ultimately, Neto struggled last year to find, fitness out with injury a lot. And for me, Jimenez hasn't been the striker, he was since the injury, and he's already out again at the start of the season. I do rate the squad overall. I think defensively they've improved once again, adding Nathan Collins to an already very solid backline. But for me, I just don't think they're going to improve until they strengthen up top. and they change their style of play. So for me, I've actually got Wolves in 12th, dropping a bit lower this season. I just think it's because there's going to be a lack of goals in the team.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah, who have you gone for in 11th?
11th was actually a tough one. I have actually gone Newcastle. I think you would have gone Leicester. Newcastle, I think they have a good season. I don't think they've strengthened enough even. Pope in goal I like. Obviously Sven Botman I like. Thing is, currently they're relying on Wilson and Wood. Wilson very injury prone, as we saw. Wood is not a good enough striker for the Premier League and where Newcastle want to go. Obviously, Bruno Guimaraes going to have a big season. I think St. Maximin, but we know what to expect from St. Maximin. But
yeah, I think Maddison coming in could be big if they can get that deal over the line as well because of the creativity that he's going to offer. And they've already got so many sort of players who can offer that sort of creativity in the squad. You look at Bruno, you look at Trippier down the right-hand side, you've got Alan St. Max on the left. And yeah, like you said, it's kind of solid.
Exactly. So, obviously, if they keep Trippier fit, big signing, basically a new signing. And Madders, if they can get him in, I probably would change my opinion on where they finish. But I think Newcastle fans are going to be disappointed with how they've been so far in the window. But yeah, that's why I've got them in 11th.
Okay, I've actually not gone for Leicester here, Rod. I've gone for Crystal Palace. For me, I think they've improved once again this year, and I do think they're a solid side. I think Vieira's constantly improving the squad, and I think with another year with Eze being fit now, and Elise, Zaha, I think the only missing sort of chain in their squad probably is that number 9 position. They've really struggled over the past few years. They brought in Mateto and Edouard, but they really haven't hit the ground running like they'd be expected. They've still got Benteke on the books. I just do think that they're missing a few pieces in the squad here and there. So yeah, I've gone for 11th for Palace. Who have you got in 10th place?
10th. I'm not really too sure on this anymore. I've got Wolves.
Okay.
Jimenez is out for about 4 to 6 weeks. Picked up an injury. So currently they are relying on Juan.
Yeah.
But obviously Neto is back. I think Adama's back, right?
He is, but I'm not. Is he like part of the squad? Because I don't know what's going on with him.
I haven't really seen too much on him, so I can't imagine he will be part of the squad. But obviously Podence, Neto, they haven't really strengthened. But Wolves, where they just work, they're just very defensive, and they can nick a goal, they can win 1-0, and that's enough. Poor football, very very poor to watch. But they are a well organised side, so
yeah.
I've got them there, but I'm not overly sure, to be honest.
Yeah, I feel like from 10th to 12, they could all swap positions for me. In 10th place, I've actually gone with Leicester City, Rod. And, despite potentially losing Maddison, I do think that they... Oh, fucking hell, I keep fucking up my table. But, yeah, I do think overall they do have some solid players, and, with some sales, they're going to be invest more into the squad. I think Jamie Vardy still being there is key, despite not being the player that he probably once was. I still think there's goals in him, and I think you look at their striker options with Daka, Iheanacho, I think there's goals in the side. I'm a big fan of Harvey Barnes as well. And, despite this being kind of a low finish for them in 10th, I think it's kind of a good finish, and with what they've got right now, I think Brendan Rodgers overall is actually an underrated manager. I know a lot of people take the piss out of him, but I think with this squad, he's probably going to finish 10th. I think Ndidi's probably the key for me, keeping hold of him once again. He's a quality centre midfielder, and if Tielemans does stay and can get back into the form he's shown before, maybe they could even finish higher. Who have you gone for in 9th?
So I think we're going to have very similar players 9 up. I've gone the same as you, which I did see earlier. I've gone Villa as well.
All right, yeah, Villa.
I think, I'd love us to get top 7. Really, really would. But I just don't. I don't fully believe in Gerrard. I just don't. Our squad on paper. I think our squad on paper is absolutely fantastic too, and this is probably the strongest squad we've had in years. Like Bailey, fantastic pre-season. Carlos, fantastic pre-season. Kamara, okay pre-season. It's hard to judge a central defensive midfielder. You
I
don't
thought he was
really.
good against us. I thought he was really good, to be fair.
It's hard to judge because they don't do the beautiful things that you like to see in football. So yeah, I've got Villa in ninth. I think last year we did finish 14th, and I liked our squad last year on paper. I just feel like we need to utilise our players because our how many can we name on a matchday squad? 18, 21, something ridiculous.
Yeah.
21, I think it is now. Big fan. So yeah, I've got ninth.
I'm really shocked, to be honest. I'm not shocked in the fact that you've put them ninth, because I've also put them ninth. I think they're a team who are very capable. What I'm shocked at is you're kind of, you were so high on the Gerrard train, but now obviously you're kind of going off him. And I'm not actually surprised because, despite having some really good performances under him, you've really had some mediocre performances as well. And especially you look at that first half in pre-season against United. Yes, there are other, factors which could play a part, being the pitch and that, but you really didn't offer much. It wasn't until the second half that the game kind of changed. So I'm kind of surprised you're off the Villa the Gerrard sort of hype train, I guess you could call it. But, I think Villa have done some good business once again this window. What I'm actually most surprised about is, I saw it this morning, what's going on with Carney Chukwueze? 20 million to Chelsea.
I'll tell you now. Chukwueze, he's got 6 months left on his contract. We offered him a very lucrative deal, and this move completely contradicts all of his demands. He wanted more first-team football. I don't think we could offer him as much first-team football as he wanted. So instead, he's gone to a club where virtually every player in that position is better than him, I'd say. 20 million, I think we've done very good business with 6 months left on his contract. He would have gone for free in January otherwise. I think he's got potential to be a great player. His attitude is stinks. It completely stinks. Cameron Archer went on loan to Preston, proved in pre-season why he should stay. And Gerrard, and he even come out and said that, I understand, obviously, as a young player, we've got to go out on loan and gain experience. He understood that. And now he's staying around the squad for the whole season, whereas Chukwueze had a great Euros for the under-21s. Didn't do much in pre-season, and Gerrard demoted him down to under-19s or something training.
Yeah.
Attitude stinks. I think he thinks he's big time. He's got potential, he's got quality, but if your attitude's not there, similar to Rabbi Morrison, you can't ever progress. So it'd be interesting to see what he does do. I think he's going to probably be a good player, and Chelsea have a fantastic academy, but he's not getting first-team football at Chelsea, that's for sure.
He's going on loan, son. What I would say, though, is 20 million is a lot of money. I like that, but I think you made a good point with Cameron Archer, because for me, I think he's got a good season ahead. I don't think he's going to be a starter straight away, but I think you've seen with Ramsey, if he could get a chance in the team, he could definitely cement his position there, because I think with Watkins and Ings, they've kind of had hit and miss sort of runs in this team, and he's definitely a talented player. And if you're on FPL and want a 4.5, I don't think there's a better 4.5 striker out there than Cameron Archer right now, Rod. But who have you got in 8th place?
8th? I actually think we've got the same player, because I don't think you've... team, because I don't think you've named them yet. I've gone Palace.
No, I've got Palace at 10th. Or 11th, I think.
Oh, you've already named Palace, have you?
Yeah, I've got Palace at 11th.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've got Palace here. I think I'm just a big admirer of Vieira, and the way they played football last year was, I really, really enjoyed it. Obviously, they kick off the Premier League in 2 days' time, which I cannot wait for, against Arsenal at home. They tend to do quite well at the start of the season. I remember beating Tottenham last year quite early on. I think they drew a City at some point in the season, so I think they're a solid team. And yeah, I think they could get 8th. I think they've got quality, but it's all about the players now. But I think 8th.
Yeah,
I'm happy with it.
I think that's a good pick. I think mine's very nuts. This team's been too consistent for me over the past few years. They've gone top 4 quite a few times, but that's not like them. They like to win a trophy, then fall off very big. So I'm going Chelsea 8th place. I know it's ludicrous, but I don't understand the hype around Chelsea. Tuchel is a bad manager. It's proven. Look what he did at PSG. He was shit. And for me, yes, he won you a Champions League, but is that not more luck in the way that he set up the 5-back and that? Not for me. I think the squad is decent overall in terms of some of the players you have. You haven't got a goal scorer though, and I do overall think you lack creativity. I don't think Sterling's this guy who's going to come in and, change the way you play. I think Frankie de Jong would be a good signing, of course, but you've got players in that area already. You need a number 9. For me, it's going to be important to see if the full wing backs can stay fit, because I think that's where a lot of the team is going to get success this year. But I've gone for 8. I really don't understand the hype around this Chelsea team.
I can see why you've gone for Chelsea low, but that low is, I think, a bit crazy.
Mate, I'm putting my balls on the line. This is like, I'm not going with what everyone else is saying. I'm going with what I think. And if it's crazy, it's fucking crazy. I don't give a shit. Who have you gone for in 7th, Rod?
I've gone in 7th.
Chelsea.
I have gone. I've gone for Manchester City. I'm joking. I've gone for West Ham.
West Ham, yeah.
Standard procedure. I think we know what to expect from them. Samaka, I think he's going to be a big player. But we know what David Moyes brings. He's going to take the burden off Antonio. They've got some good quality around him. I think Bowen's going to have another good season. And as long as they can... The big thing for them is keeping their back 4 fit. I think if their back 4 can play at least 30 games, I think they're going to be in a good position because they're solid. Set pieces, they're a huge threat from. And now they've got a bit more competition for places. They're in less tournaments. So, yeah, I've gone West Ham at 7th.
Yeah, I think West Ham are going to struggle this season a little bit. Last year they were making a run towards top 4 and Europa League, but I think Europa League kind of tied them down in the end, and they've fallen into the Conference League, and I think that's going to play a big part this year. Depending on how far they go in that tournament, it might affect things. But I was watching a video on YouTube, some guy talking about West Ham potentially playing a 3-back this year. So it'd be interesting to see, but I think Skamaka's a huge signing. I do think that being in the Conference League is going to, deteriorate their form in terms of the consistency in the league. But I think they've got enough to finish 7th. And for me, I think they clinch Conference League once again. Who have you gone for in 6th, Rod?
In 6th, you're not going to be happy. I've got Man United.
Okay.
I like Ten Hag ball. I think good manager. But I worry about the personalities and egos in your team. I think getting rid of Pogba was huge.
Yeah,
I think it was a big burden. It looks like Ronaldo is going to be kept around at least till the start of the season. I can't see him leaving in the next 2 days. And I did see, I think it was released yesterday, that Ten Hag slammed any player who left early. There were contradicting reports. But Ten Hag apparently did come out. He doesn't condone anyone leaving. And there were a few players who did leave quite early in the last pre-season game. I would not want Ronaldo around, but there's really not much you can do. He's on 500k a week. He's got a year left.
Yeah.
He's entitled to stay there per contract.
Well, he wants his... Well, apparently, no one's really willing to pay a fee for him, but United would want a fee because they've just paid 20 million last year. But apparently he wants his contract terminated so he can go on a free, but I don't think United are willing to do that.
They're going to obviously have to come to a mutual agreement. That's obviously behind the scenes, but as a business and a football club, you don't want to have to do that. And I wouldn't want Ronaldo around the dressing room personally, especially going into such a big season. So I have got United at 6th, but I wouldn't be surprised if they did surprise a few people and come top 4.
Yeah,
but I have got 6th as a passive pick because they could surprise people, and if they did, I wouldn't be too surprised. But I've got them here because top 5 for me were pretty locked.
Okay, well, I've got in 6th the team that you've got coming in 11th place. I've gone for Newcastle. Overall, since Eddie Howe's come in,
Crack.
All right. Yeah, overall, since Eddie Howe came in last season, they actually finished in 6th place. If the league would have started when he came in, I think the improvements they've made to the squad with Sven Botman is huge. I think the players coming back with Trippier, once again, I think he's going to have a big season. I think he's one of the best fantasy assets you could probably get in your squad right now, despite you disagreeing. I think overall they're a really good team. I think they're going to finish 6th place. I think James Madison's probably going to make the move, and I think overall, at home, their form last year was incredible, and if they can pick up results away from home, I can see him having a really good season. I'm going for 6th, and I'm quite comfortable in saying that. Don't get me wrong. I think they could finish somewhere between 8th and 6th, probably. That's what I would estimate. I don't think they can go any higher, but I don't think they finish lower than 8th place.
I think if I finish 6th, that's a ridiculous achievement. That's a fantastic achievement, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it would be as well. But I don't think I'm batshit for saying it. I just predicted on Chelsea having a shit season, and that slot's kind of opened up the top 6 for me. But who have you gone for in 5th place? I'm guessing you're going to go with Arsenal or Chelsea.
Yeah, I've switched it around about 2 minutes ago. I did have Arsenal there, but I have now got Chelsea. I think Chelsea, they made some. What tempted me to put them higher than you? Obviously, didn't know you in advance. I thought you were going to be around this position, maybe lower. What made me put them at 5th was, I think, Kalidou Koulibaly with Thiago Silva at the back. I think that's going to be solid. Obviously, they've got Reece James, they've got Chilwell. They're inquiring for more players. Cucurella could come in, which he's quite a fluid player along the back 3-5, whatever they play. Sterling, I like, not a huge signing, but it is a decent signing. They have lost. It looks like they're about to lose Werner. They have lost Lukaku. They've got Havertz. They have got a few other players. They've got Pully, Ziyech. So they have got.
Mate, you just know though they lack goal scorers.
You're not wrong there, but it's Chelsea. Tuchel, he's an experienced enough manager, even though I don't rate him too highly. He's an experienced manager with I'd say it's a very good side in terms of quality. They've got very good players in each position. That midfield with Kante, Jorginho, Kovacic, big admirers. I've got them at 5th, but I would not be surprised if they did take who I've got in 4th.
Okay. In 5th place, I've gone with United once again. I just think there's definitely a chance for him to finish top 4, but once again, the investment into the squad has been poor this season. It's not the amount of money spent, it's the players brought in. We are still lacking a 6, still lacking probably another winger, because I think if you look at, potentially Sancho gets injured, then all we have is Rashford and potentially Martial to go out there, and then other than that, it's youth players. I just don't think the depth is strong enough, and I think, despite Ten Hag probably going to be having a really good season, implementing his ideas, I just struggle to see United being a consistent sort of performer this year. So I've gone 5th place. Who have you gone 4th?
4th is Arsenal, which does contradict the bet that I've made on my friend. Well, I said Arsenal would not finish top 4.
I've gone Arsenal as well, mate.
I think, to be honest, mate, like looking at their squad, they have strengthened it, and I do feel they are quite strong going into the new season.
Yeah.
We have got Arsenal All or Nothing being released tomorrow, the 4th of August.
Can't wait to watch it.
Which will be a very interesting watch. I'm looking forward to. But, yeah, narrowly missing out last year, but they did bottle it. I think it was due to exhaustion, where they had to stick with the similar players throughout the whole year. And the mentality as well, but obviously they have strengthened in the window. I do like the signings.
I think we'll see what it was down to in All or Nothing. That's what I'm excited about, because there's one scene about Arteta's doing this fucking on the whiteboard. No, I've heard about this, but he's on this whiteboard going, talking about comparing his players to like paramedics and stuff like that, and I just don't know if he's the right guy still. But I do agree with you on the opinion of the squad being boosted. I am one who doubted Jesus coming in, but I think looking at his pre-season, there's no doubt he definitely suits the system as a, maybe a bit more of a fluid sort of number 9 who can play with the ball at his feet, compared to what I thought they needed, which was like the second coming of Batigol. But yeah, I think you're right. The depth of the squad is a lot better now, and you could probably argue that overall Arsenal just have a better squad than probably Chelsea and United, in my opinion.
I think you're right. I think they've strengthened Jesus. Fantastic pre-season. So yeah, obviously, I mean, Yeah, we both got them at fourth.
I think they still lack a bit. I think their centre-back position isn't as solid as it could be because I think they've still got quite a young squad overall, and maybe that will lead to a lack of leadership. But I think bringing in the likes of Zinchenko, he's being said to be quite a bit of a leader in the City squad. So with him coming in, I think he can bolster that sort of area, especially what he does with Ukraine. I'm guessing we got the same team in third in Tottenham Hotspur.
We have indeed.
We do.
Tottenham. I think they're going to have a fantastic season. A full season under Conte. Kane is going to be firing. They brought in Richarlison. They brought in Bissouma. Perisic. They brought in some good signings, and it's just their squad. And they were dangerous towards the end of last year. They were really dangerous, and I think they're gonna be good again. I'm interested to see how they do, but they are going to be up there. And yeah, third. I think if they finish third, it's a huge achievement again.
My top three was really hard to kind of do for me because I feel like Spurs have improved a lot, especially in terms of depth, and it's Conte's second season. I don't think they've improved enough to see them winning the league title, but I think if either of the other two do slip up a bit, they've definitely got a chance to potentially finish second, but I don't think that's going to happen. So I've got them in third place. If you've gone for in second, because I guess this is probably going to be the same because I've gone Liverpool.
Yeah, we're going to have the same top two. I think it's the obvious choices.
We've got the same top four.
Already miss out again. Obviously, last year it was just out of their hands. Villa did choke. I'm not surprised. They've strengthened, not hugely, but Nunes. I like Nunes as a sign. As we saw last week in the Community Shield, it was a competitive game. Both teams did want it, and Liverpool did win. Haaland missed a few sitters. So I think Pep would have given a rollicking after that. But yeah, I think Liverpool are going to be up for it. They've been up for it the last 3-4 years, so it's not going to be any different. But I just don't think you can keep up with City.
I just think for me, City are the reason why they're so good is because of consistency. They don't necessarily have the performance like Liverpool where everyone kind of gets on the hype train with Liverpool and they're going, oh, the best team in the Premier League, quadruples on this and that. They just go about their business consistently. They do it game by game and they hardly ever slip up. And I just think they're way too consistent to lose the title once again to Liverpool. But, you never know. I think it's actually going to be quite tough for them at the start of the season to kind of get used to a proper number 9 in Erling Haaland, where in the past they have played with that false 9 system, and even the strikers that they've had, the likes of Gabriel Jesus and Sergio Aguero, they're strikers who are much more comfortable with, their back to goal and stuff like that. And, Haaland's always looking to get in behind. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But I think over the course of the season, they are just a little bit stronger than that Liverpool squad right now. I think that takes us on, Rod, to individual awards. So we've gone for our MVP, or aka Player of the Season. I'll kick things off, Rod. I've gone with Kevin De Bruyne.
You've gone Kevin De Bruyne?
Yeah.
I've also gone Kevin De Bruyne.
Mate, this is nuts, right? Because I'm looking at our league tables because I've got them up in front of us right now. And, despite some of our differences, there are a lot of similarities considering we made it very clear not to tell each other what we were going to do. So I'm interested to see if we've got all the same on the individual awards.
I think they have exactly the same, to be honest.
Go on then. Golden Boot, Mo Salah.
Oh, okay, we're not the same. You want Mo Salah?
Yeah.
I like Mo Salah. I've gone Kane.
You've gone Kane, yeah. How come? Actually, let's talk about De Bruyne and your Golden Boot, because I think De Bruyne Player of the Season, I think for me, he's going to be needed more than ever now in the City team for creativity purposes. I think if you look at what City were trying to do in the Community Shield, his role kind of changed. Last year, he was kind of one of those 8s who was either side of Rodri. But this year, he looks like he's playing in a more advanced role just behind the striker. So I could see him having a lot more goal contributions. And I just think he's a great player and all, and probably one of the greatest players to have played in the Premier League, despite people not really giving him that sort of credit, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think obviously last year he missed a few games. He scored a lot of goals, albeit 4 being in one game. If City win the league, which I think they will, he's going to be at the forefront of it. Fantastic player. Probably gets. He's just much ages like fine wine. I think he's going to be huge for City, and yeah, I think he's going to be a big player. So obviously KDB purely because City are going to win the league, and he's going to be a big part of it.
Yeah, so Golden Boot, I went with Salah. For me, the reason I've gone with Salah is I think in his team he's going to be more crucial than ever. I think the loss of Mane is bigger than people are putting it down to. I think the signing of Nunes is good. And, for Nunes as a player, I think a lot of people think we're going to, is going to flop before the Community Shield. But I didn't like him as a United striker because I think as a United striker, when we was linked with him, you kind of got to be a bit better with the ball at your feet and, back to goal. Whereas with Liverpool, he's going to be constantly just in that 6-yard box, poaching away, and he's an absolute handful, a specimen of an athlete. And I just think I do think Salah is going to be very important because I don't think the goals are going to be as shared out as they have been in the past. And he already had an amazing season last year. I think this year he's going to get a big break in the middle of the season while everyone's at World Cup duty. I think that suits Salah really well because I think over the past few years it's kind of been proven that he does kind of fall off on the back end because of, in my opinion, the amount of games he plays.
Yeah, I see it. I see it. He's for the last 3 years, I think at least he's been the top FPL scorer. Yeah. He scores a lot of points, so I can see where you've gone that. I've gone Kane.
Yeah,
I've gone Kane because I think they could. There's 3 people up for this. I think position award. Be Kane, Haaland, or I've gone Kane because I think Conte is just a completely different gravy, and we saw what he was like towards the end of last year. Him and Son are just going to link up. Kane does take up that deeper role. He is on penalties, which penalties are a big part of the way Kane scores his goals. So I've gone Kane.
Yeah, I disagree. I disagree because this is why. I think if you look at Haaland and Salah, their main contribution to the team is just going to be goals. They're not going to be getting assists. Whereas Harry Kane's a sort of striker, very unselfish in the way that he drops deep and he creates for others. And I think that takes away sometimes from the amount of goals that he could possibly score. So I'm gonna stand by my Salah pick, but I don't disagree. I think Kane's a good choice. Who have we gone for manager of the season, Rob? Because I've gone for Antonio Conte.
Okay. I've gone the obvious choice. Pep. Boring Pep. He's going to win the league. Hopefully he doesn't win the Champions League. We'll probably win an FA Cup or Carling Cup.
Community One Cup, yeah, whatever.
Obviously, I've gone this simply for the Premier League awards because we know obviously each award different rating, etc. But yeah, I've gone Pep. It's obvious why
I've gone Conte because I think the step up in the Spurs team this year, I think it's going to be very clear and obvious to see. And like I said, I think there's a very good possibility that they could even come higher and come second. I don't think first is going to be available because I just don't see them having that consistency. And at the back, despite bringing in players, you look at the back line, they're still reliant on like the likes of Ben Davies and stuff like that. So I do see them potentially slipping up here and there, but I think the consistency and the big improvement in Spurs could give Conte the Manager of the Year award. Who have you gone for signing of the year? Because I've gone with Gabby Jesus.
And I've also gone Gabby Jesus.
Yeah.
I think he's going to shock a lot of people. Not too many people is looking on fantasy now. I think there are a good couple million teams registered. He's been selected by 73% of those. I think that's probably the most selected player in pre-season in years. I think he's going to be fantastic for Arsenal. He's proved in pre-season he can score goals. I think he's a finisher. He works hard for the team. You put it on a plate, I think he will score. And Arsenal do tend to create some chances. Yeah. And a big problem they've had in the last few years is literally goals. Aubameyang did do it a few years ago. Obviously, then he went a loco. Lacazette, for me, has never been that player to do it. Nketiah also did it towards the end of last year. But yeah, I think Jesus is going to have a big season. So yeah, Jesus.
Yeah, I just agree. Because he's just kind of that missing piece in the chain for Arsenal, because he gives them that ability to still stay in the sort of youthful and the team coming on the rise, but he gives them that ability to just link up the play so much more better than, the likes of Eddie and Nketiah and Lacazette. I think he's going to be a brilliant signing. I'm not sure how many goals he's going to score, but I think it's going to be more about performances on the pitch for him. Who have you gone for flop?
Flop, I think we're going to have the same player. I've gone Raheem Sterling.
I've gone Raheem Sterling. Fucking hell, Rod. Great minds think alike.
Yeah, great minds do indeed think alike. I think he's going to struggle. I think at City, he had a lot of chances put to him on a plate. Chelsea create less chances. He's going to have to do more. When he doesn't play for England, finishing is not his strong suit. I think he's going to struggle a little bit. He does work hard, and his centre of gravity he's very good at dribbling, etc., skills, etc. But he's not going to work on that Chelsea side, in my opinion.
Yeah, so for me, he's flop of the season because of Chelsea, not because of the player he is. I think if Chelsea could, get a number 9 and some players around Sterling, he wouldn't be a flop. But they're going to be so reliant on him, believing in him as a player who he's not. I don't think he's the player they think he is. I think he's a player who's got great movement, can get in the box, and if you can create that chance for him, there's a chance he's going to score. But he's not going to be someone who's going to get on the wing, cut inside, and score 50% of the time. I don't think he's that player, and I think he's going to be flop of the season. And because you've gone with him as the flop of the season, I think there's only one person you've put down for the first sacking, and it's got to be Tommy Tickle. Thomas Tuchel. I've gone for first sacking of the season. Have you not gone with him?
No, I've gone for the obvious choice.
What's the obvious choice?
Talk through Thomas Tuchel, because that surprised me.
Well, I don't think looking at my league table it should surprise you. I think looking at yours it would be a bit more surprising for him to get sacked first, considering he's going to be finishing in 5th place. But for me, I've got him finishing 8th. I think the squad isn't good enough. I think he's going to be I don't think the football's going to be great under him. And I think overall they'll be in a position where, by December or even before then, they're going to have to get rid of him because they're not going in the right trajectory. And I just think he's going to be the first person to be sacked this year. I don't know who the obvious pick is, but I'd like to hear it.
I'll talk through yours. There's been a lot of change at the club. The high-ups have completely changed. The directors of football have changed. Lots of staff members have changed. Some players have come in, some players have left. There needs to be some sort of continuous figure there. I think he stays. So I've gone for, I think the obvious one was Scott Parker.
Scott Parker?
I think Bournemouth will get off to a poor start. I hope they do. They have Villa first, so I'd love a poor start.
I'd love them to bag 3.
When teams are losing constant games, the obvious choice is manager, and I don't think Bournemouth are a different club to do anything. I think they're going to struggle, and Parker, he got sacked at... Did he get sacked at Fulham?
No, he walked away.
He walked away. Fulham and not Bournemouth. To be fair, Bournemouth do have a history of keeping managers in, but
that's what I'm thinking. I'm actually looking at the bottom side. I think if you're not going Tuchel for first sacking, there's only 2 other managers who I could look at and go, yeah, I think that could happen, and that's Ralphie Hasenhüttl and Big Frank at Everton. I think you look at Bournemouth, for me anyway, this is how I look at it, coming into the season, what are their expectations? They're not expected to stay up. They're expected to, try and stay up, and I think he's going to do that to the best of his ability, and I think they're going to fall very short. But I don't think that's a surprise to anyone because the squad is not a Premier League ready squad. I think you look at Everton and Southampton, the teams who have been in the Premier League for a long time, if they're down in those relegation sort of positions, I think one of their owners could panic and get rid of a manager. Whereas, for me, I went with Tuchel because, in my opinion, despite the changing of the ownership and they haven't got the ruthless Abramovich there, you know, the guys put a lot of money into the club already. You look at the signings they're making, and you know they're apparently going to spend a lot of money to bring in Cucurella, which just doesn't make any sense for me. Is he needed there? I don't think so. Wesley Fofana, another big signing. The guy's spending money, and I don't think they're going to be anywhere near what a lot of the Chelsea fans I'm seeing online are saying. It's no offense, it's just my opinion, and I think they get rid of him. I'm going to say they get rid of him just before or after the World Cup.
No, I respect that. But that's, mate, 2 days till it kicks off, so
we will see. Yeah, we will see, Rod. And yeah, so thanks for joining me again. Let us know who you agree with more in terms of our league tables. Here they are, one last time. We gave you our awards. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of the upcoming content. Me and Rod will be back on Monday, I think it will be Monday or Tuesday, where we'll be doing, you know, our reaction to game week 1 and looking ahead to game week 2 in fantasy. Maybe we'll have a match reaction in there at some point as well. But like I said, if you did enjoy the video, please leave a like, subscribe, and comment below letting us know what you thought. Until next time, have a good weekend. I hope you enjoyed the start of the Premier League. It is sure to be an exciting one. Until then, take care.